Everyone knows Rolex is expensive. That is not the interesting question. The interesting question is who decided that a steel watch with a mechanical movement should cost $10,000? And why does that number keep going up every year, regardless of what is happening in the economy? By the end of this video, you will not just understand why Rolex costs what it costs. You will understand how luxury pricing works at a level that changes the way you see every expensive thing you have ever bought or ever will. Before we get into the layers, one idea that changes everything that follows. Most videos about Rolex pricing give you the same answer. Swiss craftsmanship, in-house movements, decades of heritage. That answer is not wrong. It is just the answer Rolex wants you to have. The complete answer has 5 layers. The first 2 are genuine and worth respecting. The last 3 are where it gets uncomfortable. The scarcity is managed. The desire is engineered. The price is a decision someone made in a boardroom, not a calculation that came out of a factory floor. Most watch channels stop at layer 2 because layers 3, 4, and 5 are inconvenient for an industry, built on the idea that price and value are the same number. They are not. Keep that in mind as we go through each layer, because the most important one is the last one, and it is not what you expect. Layer 1. The engineering is real. Rolex manufactures approximately 1 million watches per year, every single one assembled in Switzerland, under conditions that most watch brands at most price points cannot replicate. The movement inside a modern Rolex is designed, engineered, and produced entirely in-house, not purchased from a supplier, not shared with another brand. The caliber 3235 inside a current Submariner beats at 28,800 vibrations per hour, certified to plus or minus 2 seconds per day, and carries a 70-hour power reserve. That is well beyond COSC chronometer standard. The Oyster case has been waterproofed to depths relevant to professional diving since 1953. None of that is marketing. All of it is manufacturing. The question is not whether the engineering is real. It is whether the engineering alone justifies the price. The honest answer is that it justifies some of it. Layer 2 is about what the materials actually cost and why that number is smaller than the price tag suggests. Layer 2. The materials are genuine, but not the whole story. Rolex produces its own steel, not standard 316L stainless steel that every watch brand uses. Oyster steel, a proprietary 904L alloy that is harder, more corrosion-resistant, and more expensive to machine than the industry standard. Rolex gold references use 18-karat gold produced in their own foundry. The ceramic bezels on sport references resist scratching at a level that painted or anodized aluminum cannot match. Every material specification is a genuine engineering decision that costs real money to implement at scale. But here is where the honest examination begins. The total material cost of a Rolex Submariner has been estimated by independent watchmaking analysts at between $800 and $1,200. The retail price is approximately $10,000. The gap between those two numbers is not profit margin alone. It is layers 3, 4, and 5. And layer 3 is where most people stop getting the full picture. Layer 3. The scarcity is managed. Rolex produces approximately 1 million watches per year. That is not a shortage by any reasonable measure of industrial production. 1 million units annually is substantial output. And yet you cannot walk into an authorized dealer today and buy a Submariner, a GMT Master, or a Daytona off the shelf. The watches you want are not available. The watches that are available are the ones Rolex and its dealer network have decided to make available. The scarcity you experience at the boutique is not a supply chain problem. It is a distribution decision. Watches are allocated to authorized dealers in quantities that maintain desire. The dealer then controls who receives those allocations based on purchase history, relationship, and spend across the full store inventory. The result is a market where the retail price is $10,000 and the gray market price for the same watch is $15,000 to $20,000. That premium does not exist because the watch became more valuable between the factory and the secondary market. It exists because the authorized network deliberately restricts supply to a level below demand. That restriction is a choice. It is a choice that benefits Rolex, benefits the dealer, and costs the customer. The collector community on What You Seek, and Reddit has documented this system in enough detail over enough years that it stopped being a theory a long time ago. Layer 4 is about desire and how it is engineered before you ever walk through the door. Layer 4. The desire is engineered. You did not arrive at wanting a Rolex by accident. The desire for a Rolex is one of the most deliberately constructed consumer feelings in the history of luxury, marketing, and it has been under construction for over a century. James Bond wore a Rolex before he wore an Omega. Paul Newman wore a Daytona. Steve McQueen wore a Submariner. These associations did not happen because celebrities independently discovered that Rolex made the best watch for their lifestyle. They happened because Rolex understood before most luxury brands that the object and the person wearing it are inseparable in the consumer's imagination. When you imagine owning a Submariner, you are not just imagining the watch. You are imagining a version of yourself that the watch has been carefully associated with across decades of deliberate image construction, the sponsorship of Wimbledon, the association with exploration and diving records, the presence on the wrists of people who represent achievement, precision, and enduring taste. None of that is accidental. All of it is investment, and all of it is included in the price you pay at the boutique, whether you are aware of it or not. The watch community understands this and has a complicated relationship with it, because the engineering is real and the desire is also real even when you know it was manufactured. Knowing the mechanism does not make the feeling disappear. Layer 4 makes the price feel worth it before you have examined whether it is. Layer 5 tells you what you are actually buying when all 4 layers are accounted for, and there is still a gap between what it costs and what you...
Before we get to Layer 5, let me stop for a moment. Because if what you just heard about engineered desire made you uncomfortable, you are not alone. Most people who want a Rolex have wanted one for years before they could afford one, finding out that the wanting itself was constructed by a century of deliberate image building does not make the wanting go away. It just changes what you know about it. And what you know about it is exactly what determines whether the decision you make next is the right one or an expensive one you spend years rationalizing. That is exactly why I put together a completely free Rolex buying guide for anyone who is at this moment in the decision, not the moment of wanting, the moment of knowing. Inside, you will find a complete breakdown of every reference worth considering at every price point, the questions to ask before you walk into a boutique, how to read the secondary market before you pay retail, and the one question that determines whether a Rolex is the right decision for you specifically or just the most famous answer to a question you have not fully examined yet. No brand partnerships, no agenda. The link is in the description and pinned in the comments. Read it before you walk through that door. Now, Layer 5. This is the one that makes everything else make sense.
Layer 5. The real truth. You are buying certainty. After the engineering, the materials, the managed scarcity, and the engineered desire, there is still something left in the Rolex price that none of those layers fully explain. It is not a tangible thing. It is not a specification you can measure or a marketing campaign you can identify. It is certainty. In a world full of things that depreciate, break, go out of style, and lose relevance, Rolex has spent a century building an object that does none of those things reliably. A Rolex bought in 1990 is worth more today than it was then. A Rolex bought today will likely be worth more in 2040 than it is now. Not because the watch improved, because the certainty of what it represents has compounded across every year of consistent engineering, consistent scarcity management, and consistent association with the kind of success that never goes out of style. The price of a Rolex is not a calculation that came out of a factory. It is a calculation of what that certainty is worth to the person buying it. For the person buying their first serious watch, it is the certainty of owning something they will never regret. For the investor, it is the certainty of an asset that has never permanently lost value across a century of economic cycles. For the daily wearer, it is the certainty of an object that will perform exactly as expected every single day without requiring anything beyond a service every 10 years. That certainty is real. It is also the most expensive thing Rolex sells, and it is the one thing no other watch brand has been able to fully replicate, regardless of how good their engineering is or how competitive their price point is. Because certainty is not built in a factory. It is built across a century of decisions, that compound into something no competitor can simply choose to match. That is why Rolex is expensive, not because of any single layer, because all 5 layers together produce something the market has consistently decided is worth exactly what Rolex charges for it. The question is not whether that is true. The question is whether it is true for you specifically. And that is the only question that matters before you hand over the money. So here is the only question that matters now. Now that you know what is genuine and what is manufactured in that price, which part of it are you actually paying for? The engineering, the materials, the managed scarcity that makes the watch feel rare even when 1 million are produced every year. The century of image building that made you want one before you ever examined why. Or the certainty, the quiet, compounding, historically consistent certainty that this object will not let you down, will not lose its relevance, and will not be worth less in 20 years than it is today. Drop that in the comments, not whether Rolex is worth the money. Which layer of the price do you understand now that you did not before this video? Because that specific shift is the most valuable thing this video can give you. And if you are still deciding whether to buy one, tell me which layer is making you hesitate. Because the person watching next week who is about to spend $10,000 for the first time deserves to read your answer before they do. And if you already own a Rolex, tell me which layer you were paying for when you bought it and whether you still feel the same way now. This channel exists for one reason: to examine expensive things honestly before the money changes hands. If that is the conversation you want more of, subscribe. The next video is going to take everything you now understand about how luxury pricing works and apply it to a category where the numbers are even bigger and the manufactured layers run even deeper. And once you see it, you will not be able to walk into any luxury purchase ever again without asking the same 5 questions we asked today.